just in case. Okay, so this is, you guys ready?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So hello everybody. Welcome to our very first webinar. Before I start, I would like to acknowledge that we are on Aboriginal land and acknowledge the traditional owners who have gone before us and acknowledge their continued sovereignty and the continued sovereignty of Aboriginal people. I'm actually here in Stafford in my office and I'm on Turrbal and Yuggera land. And this is our very first SEQICC webinar, which we're recording and we are going to share with our members. So it's great to be here. One of the things that we'd like to, that I should also acknowledge is that it's Indigenous Business Month. So happy Indigenous Business Month to wherever you are out there in the world. So the SEQICC turned 10 last year and so much has happened over that time. But I think there've been some significant changes in our space. Particularly around things like Indigenous, the initiatives that we've all driven from the ground up. Indigenous Business Month, Black Coffee. There's Titters in Business, by Indigenous, by the guys at NGNY in Sydney, and franchising, I guess, is one of those other options that might be available to people as more Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, have considered getting into business. So that's what we're going to look at today. So. This webinar is a sponsored webinar, so Franchise Ed is our sponsor, which is why we're talking about franchising. But it's definitely something that, an option for small business that some people might like to consider actually trying. So to get into it, I just want to do a little bit of housekeeping first. We're actually on computers. Karen there is on her phone in her at Snap Underwood. We are all, I don't have a studio, I'm not a television studio, so if the internet for some reason goes off in this building, we are no longer online. So if that happens, sorry about that, we'll start again and try and work out what to do next. But we're kind of at the...
My phone's on 10%.
We're at the mercy of everybody's connections, so just forgive us if things kind of go a little bit skew with it at times. As this is our very first webinar, you may, and we're recording it and we'll be archiving it available so that other people can watch it at some point in the future. I just wanted to put out a warning that some of the people that are in this video may have passed away. And you should be mindful of that. So I'm just asking viewers to be mindful of that as well. But I think that's pretty much all of the housekeeping. I'd like to introduce our guests today. So my name is Lisa Wadigo, and I'm the president of the South East Queensland Indigenous Chamber of Commerce. But I'm joined here by our very deadly member, Karen C. from Snap Underwood. You can see Karen. That's the rest of Karen's building.
I can't hear with all the machines going. I can't hear with all the printing machines going, so I've come into the kitchen where it's a bit more peaceful.
Oh, okay. So Karen runs Snap Underwood, and I don't know if you've ever had an opportunity to go down there, but it's filled with machinery and very large photocopying, and I'm very jealous of you, and printers. My printer here in my office is terrible, and I hate it, and I wish I was closer to Karen, and Karen could do all my printing, because yes, well, she does do all my proper printing, just about everyday printing. It's just crazy, but I hate printers. But Karen is like the printer queen. So, so hi, Karen. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you.
And I'd like to also introduce Kerry Miles, who is from Franchise Ed, and is going to run us through a specific project that she has going right now. And just to see if there are people who might be interested in it. So hello, Kerry. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Lisa. Thank you. Lovely to be here. Hi, Karen.
And Karen and Kerry are meeting for the first time, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
That's it. Yep.
Okay. So as I mentioned in the introduction, this is our first webinar. It's a sponsored webinar by Franchise Ed. So we're focusing specifically on franchising, and I guess part of it is probably debunking the myths There've been a lot of media. There's been a lot of stuff in the media. Oh, we have a guest on. Hello, whoever you are there. We've got another person.
Hello.
But hello. So there's been a lot of information. I'm just going to mute everybody who is not our official guest. So I'll just mute that one. Oh, there's Emma. Hello, Emma. Oh, she's just looking. Just going to mute Emma. No, that's okay. And mute Sarah. So I guess one of the things that we're doing is there's been a lot of press, negative press about franchising in the last 12 months or so. And so what we're going to do is have a look at some of those, some of the pros and cons of being in a franchise or buying a franchise. But then also Karen's going to provide some real world experience and knowledge from an actual Indigenous franchisee's perspective. So first, we think we might start off with Kerry.
Yeah.
Kerry, would you like us to tell us a little bit about the project and franchising in general?
Yeah, sure.
Over to you, Kerry.
Thanks, Lisa. I guess, franchising can be a little bit complex, so I thought I'd just give a general overview of what franchising is. I think everyone's seen a lot of franchises. I mean, very familiar ones are McDonald's or Nando's, Hungry Jack's. They're all types of franchises. But being a franchisee, like Karen is, means that you come in and you buy the intellectual property of that business for a certain amount of time, usually between 5 and 7 years. So you come in, there's a system in place, there's a brand, and you purchase the opportunity to work that system and brand in your own business for that period of that contractual time. And it's interesting that in Australia, we are the most franchised nation in the world, believe it or not. So we have over close to 80,000. Yes, we are. I know, it's surprising. We have about 80,000 franchisees like Karen all around the country. And there's so many different things that are franchised. I know we're really familiar with food, but there's even things like psychologists are franchised. We have services. I know it's hard to believe, isn't it? But everything is. We're familiar with some services like, gyms mowing, gyms antenna, those sorts of things. Lots of fitness centres, and it's a really big trend. So there's sort of franchises that for anything that you might want, a business, that there's often a franchise in that area. And also another interesting fact about franchising is that over 90% of the franchise systems in this country were actually homegrown here. They weren't imported from America. They were actually developed by Australians. And many of those, of course, have exported their system as well. So that really leads me on to the project that I'm working with the Queensland government.
Oh, Kerry?
Yes.
I just want to do a little housekeeping.
Yes.
A few folks have just appeared. Just letting you all know that this video is being recorded. And yes, I can see Luan and I can see Emma as well.
Yep.
Say hello. So make sure you're looking lovely. There you go. So Kerry, thank you. Just want to do that housekeeping there. So.
Oh, sure. No worries. Yeah. So this leads me on to the project that I'm working on with the University of Sunshine Coast, and funded by the Queensland government. So it's the Queensland Office of Small Business, in particular the Advancing Indigenous Business program within that department. So the objective of this project is to encourage between 2 and 4 Indigenous people to look at an opportunity to own their own business through franchising, but through a process of actually franchise employment, through a process of being employed in that franchise for 6 months, and then if they love that franchise, then taking them into business ownership. And the project and program comes with a lot of support around that. So that's sort of it in a nutshell. I'll give you a little bit more detail, I think, sort of after we've had a chat with Karen, because I think that might sort of put it more into sort of perspective there. But yeah, we're opening it to expressions of interest, and we're really looking for people to express their interest in the project and get involved.
So can I just kind of I guess recap what you're saying? So you're looking for a couple of people, 2 to 4 people, who will then who will work inside a franchise, and then to be mentored through for 6 to 12 months, with a view then to possibly then purchasing a franchise.
That's right. So you join the program and you actually get to try before you buy, which from both perspectives, it's very powerful, because franchisors have actually found that potential franchisees coming in and actually working within the system for a period of time it really gives them that great insight to know that they're really keen on that business.
Yeah.
But also from the other side too, you don't want to put money on the line without you really knowing that this business is for you, and that this gives you the opportunity to do that. And you can exit it too. So if you actually get in and you decide you don't like this particular system, you don't have to continue with the project.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Excellent.
Yeah.
So what's your time frame for the project?
So we're looking for expressions of interest in the next couple of weeks, up to about mid-November, and then the project goes to mid-2020.
Oh, okay. So it's a long one. Okay.
So we know it's not going to happen overnight, because Karen can tell you you can't just get in really quickly. There is a process and there is a time frame. So and then there's support all the way through that.
Okay, so thank you, Kerry, for that. So Karen, this is you now. How long have you been a franchise owner for?
I've been a franchise owner for 7 years.
7 years.
But I've been with Snap for 15. So what Kerry's saying is the right way to go about it. So I spent 15 years in the print industry, not with Snap, and then I was employed by Snap. I started at the bottom and I learned all the production side of things. I learned basically on the ground stuff, how to produce all the products. I went from there to working in one of their sales centres, in actually one of their franchisee stores. I spent another 4 years there. I ended up managing that centre. Then I came to Underwood and I managed this one. So I had a good 7 years experience in this franchise before I actually decided to purchase one. And I guess me purchasing one was I had a total understanding of what I was in for after managing the centre. I knew, the cost I would be up for. I knew the support I would get from Snap. And then I was moved to Underwood, where this centre then fell in my lap and I decided I would buy it. So I think what Kerry's saying is giving a potential business owner time in a franchise first is definitely the way to go. I've always thought the franchises are great for Indigenous people wanting to buy a business that don't actually have the knowledge of the product they'll be selling, or the amount of time that's involved in running your own business. I think that getting them into these franchises, letting them see what's involved, but also having that great support from the franchisor, it makes it easier for a business owner to start and run their own business. There's large costs involved, and down the track, I'm 7 years here now, my contract's 10. I guess at the end of the month when you're paying your franchise fees, I often think, I could do this myself, but it's because of all my knowledge that I could do this myself. And because of everything I've learned from Snap along the way, that would allow me then to go, okay, I can start my own business. I would be very capable of running it without the support of Snap.
So you have a specific contract with Snap. So you said you're 7 years into a 10-year contract.
Yeah.
And then at 10 years, you're free to then take the business and...
No, there's restrictions. There's restrictions on my trade, where I can trade, but the contract is over after 10 years. I either renew it with Snap and pay a large amount of money, or I go and start out on my own. The issue with doing that is then they would then sell Snap Underwood, and being that I get the choice. I can sell Snap Underwood, but I would have to sell it to an Indigenous person, being that I've changed the database from non-Indigenous clients to Indigenous. I think we're at 92% now of Indigenous businesses on my database. So a lot of those contracts we would lose if I had sold it to a non-Indigenous person. Yeah. But in more than likely I'll renew after after the next 3 years and just keep it going.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that, you know, they do all my marketing. That's a great advantage because, you know, I don't have time to do that. So they do all of that.
You do a lot of, but you, if a, so you, they do your marketing, but a lot of the work that you're getting is as a result of you being Indigenous and able to access the Indigenous procurement policy.
Definitely. And Supply Nation.
Yeah.
That's where my work comes. But I'm not out there looking for local work like I used to be. Every franchise has an area that you know, I can market in, and I'm not out there marketing in my area like I used to be when I first bought the franchise. I'm not marketing as much because the work's coming in because of Supply Nation.
Fantastic.
But I've always thought that would, you know, I think franchising is a great idea for inexperienced Indigenous people who want to go into business. And I love that you've said, Kerry, give them that time, give them that 6 months or 12 months to have a real understanding of how the business is run and the time. I would not have bought a franchise if I hadn't spent 7 years in a franchise running them.
Yeah. And I'd like to add to that, Karen. I think you know, there's with some problems that's happened in franchising. I think part of it has been lack of due diligence. That what due diligence means is actually looking very closely at what you're buying, and really analysing and making sure you understand the system and that the system is reputable and that you're getting what you're buying. And you did that through, I guess, you know, just by working there for so long, you really understood the system, didn't you? You really.
And the owners who I worked for as well that had me managing their centres were very open with me as to what the payments are, how it all runs, what I get back for my money. You know, so they were really open with me because they weren't there. I was there running their centres. So they needed me to have a full knowledge of the business.
Yeah, fantastic.
I mean, you know, it's hard too. Sometimes you might have tough months, and I understand all this, what's going on now, especially in the food industry.
Yeah.
You know, at the end, you've had a tough month, but at the end of the month, no matter what, you still have to pay your franchise fees.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes it's really hard on business, you know, because you have to always allocate. Well, I pay, you know, 15%. So that's a lot at the end of every month. I'd actually be rich if I didn't have to pay those franchise fees. My business, you know, had nothing to worry about. But yeah, look, that's all part and parcel of it. You know, they do a lot of support. They're there for me if I call. All my IT is taken care of.
Yeah.
Marketing.
So Emma's just got a question in the chat here, or more of a comment.
Yep.
Really, the quality. So this is Emma's comment to you, Karen. The quality of the work you do would also impact on your clients. So the fact that you do such good work is a reason why they return.
Yes, but that's correct.
Yeah.
I love my business. I don't let anything go out of here that's not 100%. I had decided when I ran a business that I would make it more of a family. Like most of my clients are my friends. I want them to walk out of here really happy with their service and their quality. I think that in any franchise, this is another reason why it's a good idea that they start off with 6 months training in a franchise, because no matter what business it is, if you don't give 100% service and quality, your business isn't going to work. Whether it's a franchise or you've gone out and you've run your own business, it makes no difference. It's all based on service, quality, and I guess building relationships.
Yep, consistency.
Yeah, all of that. It just means it's just everything. So whether I was a franchise or whether I was my standalone business, I would give that same support and service, and any Indigenous person wanting to go into business needs to do that no matter what.
That's right. So what you're saying is those qualities of hard work, commitment, not giving up when it gets too hard,
Exactly.
you know, working through problems, putting yourself out there, they're all characteristics that no matter what franchise you're in, or any business for that matter, they're really characteristics that you have to come in with. to be
definitely.
successful.
Yeah, all the time. Yeah. And it's constant. It's and I think that's what worries me mostly about new business owners is, do they realise that how much hard work there is in growing and making your business successful? It's nothing for me to do a 70-hour week here.
Yeah, and that's right, Karen. I think that's one of the myths that can come in, particularly when people buying a franchise, because they're buying the brand and the system. They might think that, it's all going to be done for me.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a myth, isn't it?
Definitely.
It's like there's great frameworks, but you still have to come in and you have to work them.
Yep, and they do. They offer you your framework, or you've got your logo, you've got all your branding, everybody knows you. I'll have phone calls every day from jobs that have coming through from Snap, not looking for an Indigenous business, but just someone to print for them. They'll come through, but I still have to do the hard yards. I still have to pay the staff at the end of the week when they've also done a 60-hour week, so that we can, produce to a deadline. And there's that with KFC, when they had that problem with where they served that little girl a burger that she ended up with, I don't know what it had in it, but there was something, she ended up with a disability. I mean, you get KFCs that serve beautiful fresh food all the time, and then you'll get one that doesn't take as much care with their product, and that's what happens. So no matter what the franchise is, whether it's lawn mowing, printing, food, as far as service and quality, it has to be there or it won't succeed.
Yeah, exactly. So it's the commitment, isn't it? The commitment to the business and to the brand as well.
Oh, definitely. Because you're answerable to that brand.
And as you pointed out, one bad egg can sour the whole brand potentially. So, and that's really up to the franchisor to make sure there's that consistency across all franchisees like yourself. Yeah, that's part of their role.
Well, with Snap, that was it's homegrown in Australia. So our franchisors are very on top of that sort of thing. We have managers that come around and check our centre to make sure that everything's running as it should be, that the brand is protected. So, it's hard work, whether it's a standalone business or a franchise. Yeah, but you have to be committed. I think with Indigenous people, it's a great opportunity. You've got that extra support, and running a business is tough. So having that extra support from a franchisor is a good thing.
I was talking to a couple that it was at a networking event, and they were the franchise. They owned 6 franchises. Jim's Mowing or Jim something.
Yeah.
Mowing was Jim something, because Jim does a lot of different things. And they still, I think a good point to remember is that they own 6 of them, but then they had to have another one because they actually worked in it, because even though they owned 6 franchises, they still didn't make enough money to live. So there's a difference between, so just because you own the franchise, you own the franchise and you have a job and you work in the franchise, and that's where you get your income to live. It's just, you don't just buy the franchise and off you go and you can do stuff. You actually have to work in the business.
That's right.
In order to generate a living. And
in fact, Lisa, that most quality franchisors want that franchisee to be working in the business, because it's usually run better when the franchise owner works in the business. So very few will actually sell them as an investment, like, what you're saying. So people have to work in it. But just another point about, so say some of the, the lower entry cost franchises like Jim's, it's a return on investment thing. So if you're spending $15,000 to get into a franchise, which is what I'd say Jim's is, you're going to get, the expectations of earnings is lower than if you're spending, $2 million on a McDonald's. So you just have to be aware of the return on investment for the investment that you're putting into that franchise. And do your due diligence, do your sums, make sure you get good advice. That's one thing, isn't it, Karen?
Definitely.
You've got to get good advice.
Yeah, you do. And I was lucky. I had IBA that I borrowed my money from, and they were very good. They went right into it.
Right.
they also felt much better loaning me the money to buy this business because I had worked for Snap for that many years, and I had I wasn't going to walk out of here when things got tough 12 months later. You know, they knew I was in here for the long haul. So, and, you know, there is really difficult times where you just make enough money for you to take home as a wage. There's not always, with me and the amount of money that I pay in franchise fees, I basically make a nice wage, love my centre. I wouldn't be interested in buying another one because I wouldn't be in it to run it. I feel that you have to be in your own business to run it and make it really successful. I've seen other Snap franchisees that have bought 2 and 3. You put managers in those centres and they just don't run as well as the centre that the owner's in. But yeah, I mean, I make a nice wage out of here. That's it. But you know, I don't imagine I'm going to be made wealthy from this, or, you know, I think when I sell it, if I can sell it to another Indigenous person, then yes, I would sell it for a good price. I had to make up my mind a few years ago, do I turn it into the centre with a huge Indigenous database? Because that will definitely affect my sale price, and who I sell to. It will restrict me on selling. Because if I sell to a non-Indigenous person, they lose all of my clients. They lose a database.
Yeah.
If I sell to an Indigenous person, that's where I get a decent amount of money for my business. I made that decision that that's what I would do. If I ever chose to sell, it would go, you know, I'd try to sell to another Indigenous person or pass it on to my daughter, and she would run it, who also works in the centre. So, yeah, it's but it's, look, I certainly get a good wage out of it. Makes a difference to the cash flow because I am paying franchise fees and it's a lot of money at the end of every month. But I chose to buy a franchise, and that's the situation I'm in now.
Mm.
Yeah, excellent. Do we have any questions from our visitors, from our folks in the room? Emma, Leanne? You'd have to use the chat window.
Yeah, the chat's there. I can see 3 come up.
Yeah. Oh, I would expect a level of support services from the franchisor would be lower as well with lower entry franchises.
That was that from Emma, that question?
Yes.
Yeah. Emma, you are correct. There would be, you know, for example, to buy a McDonald's, this is the high end, you have to actually work in McDonald's for 12 months without any salary, and that's your commitment to that business. So, you know, so that's what you need to get into those higher quality ones. But, you know, you would still expect, and this is part of the due diligence process, no matter what you pay, if they're promising you to provide some support, then you know you should make sure that they are providing that. And how you do that is you actually go and speak to other franchisees and see if they actually are delivering on that support that they're promising. It's a very important process because they can promise, but are they delivering? And so part of your due diligence in that before you actually sign anything is you make sure that's the fact. Particularly the more you pay, the more you've got to lose. You've really got to make sure that support's there. Wouldn't you agree, Karen?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. And you know, you'll find if you go and speak to other franchisees and talk to them about what is offered, what support are they getting, they'll all have different answers and they all feel differently about the way they've been treated while they've been, you know, had their franchise. I guess, yeah, talk to all of them, get their different opinions, and then talk to the franchisor yourself. Go down, have a meeting with them, say, what are you going to give me? What support am I going to get? You know, mine's a phone call away. If I'm in any trouble at all, I pick up the phone and they're there for me. You need that sort of, you need them to assure you that that's what they're going to do for you.
Exactly, and that's a sign of a great franchisor is if you can pick up the phone. Because I've heard stories where franchisees have tried to get through to head office and no one answers the phone. So, you know, that's the flip side of that, Karen. So you know, in your due diligence, when you're thinking of buying, you do those cross checks and you make sure that what they're promising they will deliver on, because other people have experienced it.
Exactly. Yeah, and everyone experiences different relationships with the franchisor.
Yep.
And that does come into account. You know, I'd been with Snap for a long time, so they were very respectful of me. They had an understanding of, you know, what I'd been through and what I'd also done for the brand in working for them for 7 years. So
Yeah.
I wasn't hesitant at all at ringing them up going, hey, guys, you know, I need you to do this or I need you to do that, and they would do it for me. So you do have to get to meet the franchisor, you have to work with them, you have to make them understand that, yeah, you are going to expect something from them for that amount of money. What support are you going to give me, and what continued support are you going to give me?
Yeah.
Karen, are your franchise fees set, monthly set, or are they percentage of how much you make?
Yeah, they're a percentage of my sales. Plus I pay a set amount for my IT a month. So we have a Snap quoting and invoicing program, PSV, which costs me a certain amount of money a month, and then I pay a marketing fee as well, which is only 2% of the sales, but it does. I guess that's the part that I feel I don't really need, and they don't give me what I need there, because I'm targeting the Indigenous market, whereas all their marketing for me is just generic marketing.
Just for general information, most franchise fees in Australia run around that 7% of turnover. And then, as you said, Karen, there's some extra fees potentially for IT, and they might be other things. And then marketing fees tend to be 2 or 3%. That's the standard. Some above, some below. Some are even fixed fee. You know, so like, you know, $100 a week, no matter how much you earn or how little you earn. So there's a fixed fee or a percentage of turnover. The general rule is percentage of turnover. Yeah.
Mm.
So, yeah.
So you have a great month and then they take more off you. Oh, never mind.
And I guess you'd have some of the, I think we've spoken before about how you have your Indigenous work is kind of nationwide, but for your standard kind of work, you have a region, because you're at Underwood, so you can't go looking for work in Stafford.
No, that's correct. You're given your marketing territory, but other businesses outside that area can come to you. I just can't, you know, do a mail drop, or I can't make phone calls to a business in Stafford and say, you know, do you need me to do some printing for you? We have now that I've changed the centre to be more Indigenous based, we have very few local clients. The ones that we do have been with Underwood since the 90s, and they're still coming to Snap at Underwood. I could market and get more local work, but I haven't done that for probably 2 or 3 years now. So I'm shipping work out all over Australia, which is very rare for Snap centres to be doing that. You know, I might ship things up to the Northern Territory, or I might ship to Mackay, where there's already a Snap centre there. So most franchises are just dealing with their local area.
Yeah.
So can you explain, Karen, like how does that Supply Nation work for you, and what sort of products and services do you think work very well in that?
I only know about the printing and design side of things. I'm not sure about anybody else, but I know that a lot of our clients, our new clients, all go to Supply Nation and they look for a designer or a printer, and my name will come up and they send me a quote. A quote request, and then that's my opportunity then to build that relationship. Fantastic. Don't just, you know, quote them back. Give them a call, say hi, chat with them, you know, and then send them a quote. But yeah, Supply Nation's been fantastic for us. Lots and lots of big government departments, big government tier 1 businesses are all going there looking for supply, which is fantastic.
That's a great opportunity.
Yeah, it's really helped grow this business.
Yeah.
So
mostly as well. Like I'll do something with the Com Games, and working, Duncan Kerslake organising for us to get a lot of work from the Commonwealth Games. They then, when they were finished, though all those people that worked in that office, who I became close to and friends with and I delivered to all the time, they all then went to different government departments. So now we're getting their work. So it's that building the relationship that's the most important thing and the most successful. That will keep you going and assure you that the work's coming in.
And I suppose that not every franchise would be able to access government work. So the IPP, Indigenous Procurement Policy, works for businesses that are servicing federal and state governments. But if you're a Red Rooster, you're probably not servicing the federal or state government. So being Indigenous is not a particularly, it's not going to make an impact. Your business is very much going to be a mainstream local business.
Yeah, but things like, cleaning couriers, courier businesses, catering businesses, I would imagine, because caterers, there's a lot of catering done in government departments.
Definitely.
Yeah. So anything.
The cleaning, anything, all those sort of services, I'm sure the government, the government uses Supply Nation to get those.
Yeah, I wonder even things like tagging.
But it's just about really thinking about what it is that you want to do.
Yeah.
And being realistic about what potential opportunities are out there. Yeah.
Mm. But bearing in mind too that there's opportunities for Supply Nation that could help boost the business, as Karen has experienced.
Yeah. But then when you want to sell it, so Karen's issue is that was a strategic decision that you made, Karen. When you want to sell it, you're going to have a few complications there that your sister franchise in Rochdale may not have.
Exactly. There's snap centres on the market at the moment, and they will just sell. And the best offer they buy. I can't do that because I can't say to my, a buyer, you're assured of my database, because they're not. They're only assured of that database as if they're Indigenous. Then the work will still flow into this centre. Yeah. So I had to make that decision. Most people buy a business to build it and sell it. Then once you sell it, that's your super, or I can retire now. I had to make that decision. What am I going to do here? Do I keep it going as an Indigenous business? Do I make it an Indigenous business, or do I look at it, grow it and sell it to anybody?
So anybody accessing the Indigenous procurement policy has that issue. So my business, for instance, if I wanted to sell it, and if the bulk of, most of our work
they are
Indigenous sources, so it's like,
you're the same. Exactly. I think the only time this wouldn't come into effect is if you bought a Red Rooster or a McDonald's or, a Jim's mowing, something like that. Then it doesn't matter. You sell it, and whether you're, mowing the lawn for an Indigenous person or a non-Indigenous person, it makes no difference. Your database stays secure. But yeah, Lisa, you're the same. You can't now put a non-Indigenous person in there to run a Scariot Media because it
would work. It's not going to work.
No, it wouldn't. So I guess for me, because I have so much equipment, there's so much expense and money in this place, the decision, I had to make that decision. I could have gone either way, but because my daughter works here, she's Indigenous, I hoped that eventually down the track she would take over.
Yeah.
Let me have a few days off at least.
That would be nice. Excellent.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions? Sarah, do you have any questions? You can type them in the chat. Emma, we've got a few people on the line. No other questions? Kerry, did you have anything else you wanted to add about the project specifically?
Yeah, I just to reiterate, I think from Karen's experience, there's some great opportunities for Indigenous people in business, and particularly with Supply Nation, but even beyond that. So, I really encourage people to get on the website at franchise-ed.org.au. I think you're going to have some links on your website, aren't you, Lisa?
Yes.
Yeah.
Type it in here as well.
Okay. Yeah. Because on the website, what you'll find is an information pack. So you can pop your email address in, get the information pack, and it actually goes into more detail on the project. And then if you like what you read and you want to express your interest, how you do that's in that information pack. If you've got any questions at all about franchising, about the project, I'm here to help. So, you know, I love talking to people. So give me a call, send me an email. I've been involved in franchising for 15 years, so I know quite a bit about it, and actually came from a family. My father was a franchisee. So I've loved franchising. So, yeah.
We have a question. So we've got a question. So where do you think the funding for purchasing the franchise will come from? And is there an expectation that the participants will have access to funding already, or will the project assist with finding funding?
That's a great question.
Or financing.
Yeah. Definitely, if you need finance, we'll have to go to places like Indigenous Business Australia, some potential banks or non-bank lenders, and yes, you will need some finance depending on the amount of the franchise. So definitely, you will need to have some money available. The project doesn't provide that. You will need to get that.
So you've already been speaking to IBA then? About
I've definitely had a few chats with IBA, and they're very familiar with the project, and it's really looking at that individual person's financial background and seeing what the best solution is for them. So that's part of the project too, trying to help navigate that complexity as well. Yeah.
Well, my advice there, Kerry, is that once they've got to the point where they're going to be working in a franchise, in that 6 months to 12 months, I think if they're going to go through IBA, that's a good time to start right at the beginning.
Yep.
Loans can often take over a year to come through.
Yeah.
And if that loan is in the process while they're actually working in the centre or in the shop, whatever, at that point, even if they decide not to go ahead with it, you've still moved forward with the finance.
Great advice.
Because IBA, it takes a very long time.
Yes, it does. So we just have one more question. Is the project Australia-wide or just Queensland?
It is just Queensland because it's funded by the Queensland government, and it's a pilot project. So if it has some great success, then we might find that other state governments might pick it up. There was some interest from the WA government when I've spoken to them before, and the New South Wales government. So potentially it could go further, but not at this stage. Just Queensland.
Right.
I think that was all of our questions. Thank you so much, Karen and Kerry, for participating, and our other attendees. We're going to edit the video and get it out there into the world. I think part of the recording might have got lost a little bit. I went off. I took my video off because a little bit, few snippets there went off. So hopefully, if there's anything good in there that I missed, we'll put it into the sort of the broader blog post. I just wanted to kind of so is there anything else, Kerry, that we should know about before?
No, other than please, get onto the website, have a look, and please don't be shy in coming forward and giving me a call. Anything, awesome. just pick up the phone, and I'm happy to have a chat.
Excellent. So just to let everybody know, we have some stuff coming up in the next few months. The Engine Markets 2.0 are on the 7th and 8th of December. Karen will have printing probably to do for that. Hopefully we'll get it to you before the 1st of December, so you have time to actually print it. So we're very, SEQICC is very proud to be the host of that event again this in December, and Black Lash Projects, of course, are the curators of that event. We also have Black Coffee on tomorrow at the Gold Coast, if you're available. That's Emma. So Emma, say hello. It's Emma. Yeah, so Emma is the regional coordinator of Black Coffee Gold Coast. And then, of course, there's Black Coffee next week in the rest of the world. We also have, we started last week, IndigBiz Chat, which is a Twitter chat. So we maybe franchising might feature on as a conversation on Twitter at some point in the future. And then, of course, just check out all our social media channels. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn for most of our projects. So thank you all for coming.
Thank you, Lisa.
We started a little bit wonky because of the technology, but I think we got there in the end. And I'm hoping that this will be a monthly lunchtime event going forward. So thank you all for coming and participating. Luan, sorry, is that okay? Luan just says, thank you for sharing generously, looking to learn more about opportunities out there. So this has been helpful to expand your understanding. So thank you for that comment. So thanks everybody for coming. Have an awesome rest of the day. It's only 12:30, so the day is.
Thank you. I'd just like to Kerry too. If you need me to talk to any potential business owners, feel free to get them to give me a call.
Oh, thank you. That's fantastic.
And help out where I can.
That's awesome. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks everybody for coming. Thank you so much, Karen. You did an awesome job. You got it all working.
Thanks. Have a good day.
Thanks.
Okay.
Bye.